Yeah, that's what I would try to do. I was feeling we are just dragging on and on just problem of writer union. My concern is basically to share with the other writers, not exactly of the mainstream, but if there are writers who are writing in Chinese or Russian or Japanese or any other language, because what I am feeling is, especially with the Canada Council or multiculturalism, they talk, we are in the mainstream, but in fact we are not in the mainstream. And if there are writers like Punjabi writers who have their main work, not in English, but in some other language, but they don't have a way of judging those works, and they send our works to someone who is not familiar with our writings or our culture. And I would like to share with my friends, if they have similar kinds of experiences, if they have more work in their own language, and do they have that kind of experience with these kinds of institutions? Thank you.
Can I add something? It's similar as you said. Yeah, that's very true. Because I translated Kama Beta Maru, a full-length play, and sent it to the Secretary of Department, and they accepted it as a translation project. Where it's finished, then we don't know whom they sent this for evaluation, and they rejected it for publication because there wasn't any logic. They say, well, other people has written, like Sheldon Pollock has written on the same subject, or other people has written the history books of Samavata Maru. But this play was different, and the evaluators were, we don't know who were they, and this was the answer we got. On the half stage, they cut it off.
I think there are quite a few stories on this kind of publications which have been rejected. There might be valid reasons, and we are not sure at this moment, but there certainly are problems. However, would like to move on to our more kind of, well, not more, but a different subject. We have discussed, but this was very important. I think the Writers' Union is the most important organ, so we have discussed it and we wanted it. So I think this has been very, very, very useful. Now, if somebody would like to speak on how we can have kind of joint projects, is there any way we can...
Surinder asked a question to the gathering here. I think what we should ask, if somebody wants to respond to that question before we move on to the next topic.
Okay, if any other writer has experienced the same kind of problems as Surinder pointed out from any other language or in the background, that will be start. That.
I'd like to say that I'm a poet and I'm a Canadian, and I would like to say the press that gave Surjit's manuscript so much trouble got a grant from the Canada Council to publish a book of mine, which they didn't. I didn't belong to the League or the Writers' Union. I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer, but I did go to someone in the Writers' Union of Canada, and they did, although I wasn't a member, sort of investigate the case. And I understand they did write a letter of reprimand. Just so that you don't think it might be the company.
So thank you very much. We are not the only ones.
What's only wrong with the publisher?
Yep. Jim, you would like to express?
Yeah, I think maybe I should present what our experiences in the Chinese community.
Would like to come here? Come here.
So I'll case bring a book up, but I guess writers want to sell books. This book is a first collection of poetry in the English language by a Chinese Canadian on Chinatown. This was published at the end of last year. And for us, as Chinese Canadians. We've been probably the first ethnic group to come into Canada, and we're probably the first group to be ghettoized and culturally ghettoized. Right now, over 150 years later, we finally got a book out. I mean, there's a certain joy, a certain sadness involved with this whole process. And for the Chinese Canadians that have been writing, the writing actually has been very strong, but mostly in community newspapers, and mostly in the Chinese language. And this has happened, and is still perpetuating now in the present. But as my own experience is that we belong to a whole different generation, which I think your sons or your grandsons will encounter, is that I belong to a generation which our predominant language is in English, and we have almost lost our mother tongue. And for us, okay, the case becomes much, much more fair. For us, this is our homeland. And for us, the history begins here. I mean, we're Chinese Canadians, and we have a lot of history. And so for us, the process for the last 15, 20 years has been to try to legitimize, firstly, the history of the Chinese Canadians. To establish the fact that the Chinese Canadians have an actual, a factual, and a very validating history as Canadians. And then, as this process has been more or less in stream, we are beginning to put the blood and the flesh onto it. And so for the last 10 years, we've been working on the performing arts, the literature, and all the other aspects to fill in all the gaps. And so this is what's been happening. And it's rather unfortunate because we didn't realize that there wasn't any published material. And yet at the same time, to come up with material that is reflective of our experiences here. You know, we actually are deriving something that's quite different. Not to say that there aren't any writers in the Chinese language, because there is now at present a group in Chinatown that's writing specifically in the Chinese language. Most of them are immigrants from Taiwan and China and from Hong Kong. And it's kind of interesting, because I had a little discussion with those guys. And I looked into the writing because I happen to be bilingual. And I said, gee, your writing's all about suffering. A lot of suffering, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. And I've said that, well, I tend to believe that literature celebrates everything. The joy, the suffering, also the expectations and aspirations and all the spiritualities. And that's what becomes a complete part of the literature. And then as we delve back further and further, I realized that the person who was writing most of the suffering has only emigrated recently. And for him, he's working in a restaurant as a busboy. So for him, a lot of it was suffering. So that's how the writing derives from. But that's in fact how writing has become, and how we look at our development of writing. It comes in stages. We have to write down the sufferings. But after we finish the sufferings, we have to go on to look at what's reality, and then to look at the future. For ourselves, okay, we do have special cases. I mean, we have our peculiarities, because the writers that are writing in the Chinese language, in fact, are publishing. So they're publishing through the Hong Kong writing magazines. And since most of the Hong Kong magazines, okay, circulate over in North America and all over the world, they in fact have a very large forum, much larger forum than ourselves. For us, it's a much more difficult forum because we're competing with every other person to try to get published over here. But in the last 10 years, what we have done is that we have formed a writers group, and it's called, right at present, it's called the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop. And our motivation is to try to get people together to share the experiences, and also as a workshop experience to encourage people to write, and also for people to, as a leverage for people to get published. And so far we have 3 published writers within our group. Our group is growing. There's more young people now going into university that are going into creative writing programs. And this is only a very recent phenomenon, but it has made a difference. And for these writers now, they are beginning to take writing seriously. And this is where I feel that we may be able to join hands. Because I do believe that a lot of our heritage, despite the cultural differences, are fairly common. Our experiences and how we felt and how things have happened and how we see things may be a lot more universal, a lot more cross-cultural than we think. So I would definitely like to see the Punjabi writers to be able to share their experiences with us. Because if you do have workshops, we'd like to be invited. We also encourage you to communicate to us and allow us to see what kind of writing you people do. Because I think the form of writing, and also you have to understand we're writing in English. We don't write in any other language. And for us, okay, we have to write and compete with whatever is here and the best we can. And I think that from the writings that I've seen that's come out of our own groups, we're going to be the new wave. So, the sharing, hopefully we can all grow together and we can develop different ideas and explore different ideas and explore all forms. And yes, we don't segregate it. I mean, we're not separating ourselves from the old, from our own Chinese roots. I think my own writing is based on the old Chinese forms, the sparse forms, and it's something that influences us. These things you can't stop. You don't just totally disintegrate or reintegrate and say that you take on the so-called mainstream forms. We will develop our own forms, and this will happen. And we take our experiences also from the people across the border, and they have enough literature to come up with a copy of the Asian American literature and introduction to the writing of the social context. And for the people down there, they have actually had enough of a body of work to be able to consider it as serious social studies. So I brought these here to share as an experience, and I hope people will find it of some consequence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim, for extending us your invitation to participate in joint meetings and exchange of our literary writings. That certainly would be very welcome here. Anybody else have? Mario, you speak. Mario is with UBC. In fact, he is going to University of Queen's University, Kingston, to teach South American literature there. Mario.
This probably requires some more meditation, but I would like to share with you my perception about the subject being discussed here. I think that the difficulties which the various ethnic groups have been experiencing in the past and are experiencing in the present have to do with the fact that we are in the midst of what I think is a historical and a cultural process. And as George pointed out very well, if each ethnic group wishes to participate as writers, as poets, as artists, I think it's very important to understand that it is not a question of bringing forth the heritage of our countries of origin, which in a way is inevitable. Because the literatures from India and China and all the other countries are quite well known and have already affirmed universally as being great literatures. So I don't think the task of the ethnic writers or poets is to say, we have a great literature and I would like you people to know about it, right? The question is, seems to me, is to understand from historical and cultural point of view that in Canada, the question of language is, I would say, the most important issue here is a question of language, the cultural tool through which we are going to express our uniqueness as participants of a whole organic historical and cultural process which is called Canada. Otherwise, the impression, wrong impression that we might unwittingly put forward is that we want somehow to affirm our own unique ethnic, cultural, and historical, qualities as compared to other, which is fine, I would assume. But keeping in mind that, in a way, this is a reverse process of the Roman Empire. There was one official language, and from that one official language issued forth all the other, as each people of each geographical area began to develop and affirm its own consciousness and its own individuality. So I think that one thing that perhaps should be kept in mind is this historical and cultural perspective. And from the practical point of view, as George pointed out as well, is that if you as Punjabi writers, or we as Latin American writers, or somebody else as Chinese artists or writers, wish to participate in the process of Canadian history and culture, it has to be done utilizing the cultural and historical tools which are ready at hand now. It's a very complex problem, I understand. I don't wish to simplify it. But perhaps keeping this in mind will help us be more practical. So keeping in mind that the main vehicle, the cultural vehicle that at this point in history is available to us is either the English or the French languages. And although this is a multicultural country, officially it has not been, I would assume, sanctioned as being a multicultural country insofar the languages are concerned. So this is perhaps what I would like to share with you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Very interesting. We have Professor Johnston here from Simon University, and I'm sure he has something very interesting to read here. Professor Johnston is authority on Sikh history, in fact, in British Columbia. He has been working in that field quite extensively. He has a book on Kamagata Maru, and at this time he is in the process of production of a film which is on Indian children. So anyway, without saying any more about it, can we have some of your stuff you're hiding from us?
I came prepared simply because it was mentioned to me that perhaps there might be a chance to say something. And I noticed that this session is in English, but because I have been learning Punjabi, I wanted to try my Punjabi on you.
Beautiful.
Now, and then I have to say a very simple idea in a very simple way. That's what I have to do. And I have it written out here in this strange language, which I'm going to pretend to read. And perhaps, now I followed the device, in fact, make it easier for you to understand. What I get, my one simple point does follow on from our immediate discussion. It does, by chance, follow on. But what I do is I tend to repeat phrases so that you you can understand and I can understand what I'm doing better. I'll give you what I prepared formally. मैं été en débat couchihan. मैंने été आके toi des नाव गुलबात करन débat couchihan. मैं Punjabi which गुलबात करन débat couchihan. एते मैंने इन्हें सारे पंजाबी दिखारियां दी मिलन दी बात खुशी है मैं पंजाबी कोई सांतों सीख रहा हूँ मैं इस करके सीख रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये बोली मैंने पसंद है मैं इस करके सीख रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैंने पंजाबी लोग पसंद है ते इस करके भी सीख रहा हूँ क्योंकि बहुत सारी पंजाबी कनाडा विच रहते हैं मेरा परिवार 200 सालों तो ते 8 पीढ़ियों तो कनाडा विच वस रहा मेरा और कोई दूसरा मुल्क नहीं पर मैं ओना लोगों दी हालत समझ सकता हाँ जेरे एक मुल्क विच पैदा हुंदे ते दूसरे विच जा वस्ते जे मैं ओना लोगों नू समझ सकता हाँ जेरे दो सभ्यतावां विच फंसे हैं मैं ओना दी अपने वतन वास्ते किचनू समझ सकता हाँ अते मैं ओना दे पीर नू दो देशों दी पीर दो बयानों दी पीर दो नफरतों दी पीर नू समझ सकता हाँ जो मैंने इस सारियां गलां दी समझ देंदी है ओ है पंजाबी भाषा पंजाबी सिखना मैं भी दो सभ्यतावां दी जानी हो यहाँ मैं चाहता हाँ कि पंजाबी सभ्यता बारे अंग्रेजी विच होर किताबां लिखिया जान ते मैं एक होर चीज चाहता हाँ सानू जरूरत है कि कनाडा दे बारे विच किताबां कहानियां लेख ते नाटक पंजाबी विच लिखे जान जिवे कि इस देश बारे किताबां इस देश दे इतिहास दियां कहानियां ते इस देश दे लोकां बारे लेख ताकि पंजाबियां नू कनाडा बारे अपनी बोली विच जानकारी मिले ताकि ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਾਸੀਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਬੋਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਮਿਲੇ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਪਲੇ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਸਭਿਅਤਾ ਅੱਛੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਸਕਦੇ। ਤਾਂ ਦੋ ਦੁਨੀਆਵਾਂ ਵੱਖ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਇਸ ਲਈ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੋ ਦੁਨੀਆਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਹਰ ਲਿਖਾਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਆਗੂ ਹੈ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਲਿਖਾਰੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਦੇਣ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। Thank you.
That's extremely interesting and rather moving experience for us. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Johnston. Not only that it's in Punjabi, which of course I understood every bit of it. I'm sure everybody understood. And not only that it was in Punjabi made it very interesting, the content was very impressive and really we wonder, like, we kind of think that if we write in English only, then it will be good, and probably that's more worthwhile. But as Dr. Johnston has suggested, that if we write in Punjabi or stories and plays and poetry, that's also very much desirable. Our children can read about their inheritance and their mother tongue, or which was spoken by their grandparents. So thank you very much, Dr. Johnson. It has been very, very interesting and very useful to us, encouraging rather, I would say. Thank you again. Towards the end, I'd like to point out that what we had designed before this meeting, that we'll have this meeting for about an hour, and then we'll have some tea or refreshments, and then mingle around and bit of a social kind of intermingling. However, what we had done, we have taken our tea before, so we are still in time. I hope it's okay with everyone. And I'd like to mention that here in our meeting, we have Fakhr Zaman. He's a very well-known Punjabi writer, and also I would say Urdu from Pakistan. He's among us here by chance, luckily, I would say. He would like to speak a word or two. That would be good if you feel like. That should be fine. And also we have Dr. Hari Sharma here. He's a Hindi writer, writes stories in Hindi. He's also from SFU. And Dr. O'Brien, Professor O'Brien of 6th year. He's with UBC. So we have many distinguished people here. Hope they express.
Thank you very much. Actually, I've been listening to the friends who came here and spoke. This was sort of new experience for me because I probably had not the experience of listening to this new terminology of mainstream. I mean, mainstream may be a Canadian or American parlance, but in the part of the world which is called third world, and where we exist and where we suffer at the hands of undemocratic totalitarian governments. For us, this mainstream is rather